went to the boys' dormitory to do the inspection instead of my roommate. The school hunk was lying on the bed, being lazy, and told me to record whatever I liked. So the next day, the notice at the dormitory entrance became popular all over the school. Mike on bed for in dormitory 250 was lying on the bed and couldn't get up no matter what. Cindy, what have you done? When my roommate came to me in a hurry. I had just woken up after a rare 3-hour sleep. What's wrong? Sue handed me her phone with a terrified look on her face. Look for yourself. I took it and saw a picture that was being hotly discussed on the confession wall. On the blackboard in the boys' dormitory. Yesterday's dormitory inspection results were written. Dormitory 203 was in good condition. Dormitory 207 had a strange smell. Etc. The most eye-catching one was the last one. Mike on bed for in dormitory 250 was lying on the bed. Changed several postures, but couldn't get hard. There were already hundreds of comments below. I'm fucking dying of laughter, ha 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 ha. Spread the word. Mike can't get hard, ha 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 ha. I want to know who is this talented person. Stop laughing. Mike hasn't even slept. He has been staring at his phone for a long time. After staring for a few seconds, I slowly realized that this talented person seemed to be me. But there was a reason for this. Sue was the head of the school's health department. Yesterday was a large-scale school-wide health inspection. For the dormitory inspection, everyone was required to get out of bed. She didn't have enough manpower, so I helped her inspect one floor. When I inspected dormitory 250, there was only one person inside, still sleeping under the quilt. To be honest, I also hated dormitory inspections. Why should college students make things difficult for each other? I originally wanted to be perfunctory. But who would have thought that the school leader was following me and recording a video? So I poked the human-shaped silkworm chrysalis. Classmate, get out of bed and cooperate with the inspection. A hand with distinct joints stretched out, waved impatiently, and then quickly retracted and turned over. Me. I looked at the school leader beside me and smiled. Classmate, you can sleep after the inspection. Then I whispered close to him, if you stretch out your hand again, you're done. Then the quilt moved. One foot stretched out. It happened to be right in front of the school leader's face. The boy's voice was lazy and wild. Record whatever you like. Since he said so. Under the leader's sharp gaze, I recorded it truthfully. It was just that the wording was a bit of a problem and had some ambiguity. Originally, I was very guilty. Until I saw Mike's reply. Cindy from Class 3. Grade 20 of Animal Medicine. If you don't try hard, how do you know I can't get up? There were dozens of follow-up comments below. Several friends on WeChat asked me when I became so familiar with Mike. I just felt like a group of alpacas were running over my head. Good. It's like the pot calling the kettle black. Neither of us is any better. It's impossible to apologize. Let's just hurt each other. When Mike blocked my way downstairs, I was about to go to the infirmary. The boy in front of me was wearing a casual jacket, looking like he had just woken up, with a strand of unruly hair standing on his head. He looked me up and down, probably seeing my dark circles. He sneered, those dark circles under your eyes. Are you being condemned by your conscience? The dark circles were actually the after effect of my long-term insomnia. But I slept quite well last night. I slept for 3 hours. When Mike asked me this, I immediately became rebellious. He was a popular figure in the school. Almost everyone knew him. When we were talking, there were already a lot of onlookers around. So I hugged his leg with a guilty look on my face. I'm sorry, Mike. It's all my fault. If I had tried harder, you could have gotten up. I really would have tried harder at that time. But you really showed no signs of getting up. Not at all. I said the last few words firmly. Then I glanced at Mike's indescribable part. The onlookers wide and their eyes, as if they had just heard some big gossip. Mike looked at me expressionlessly. Are you sure you want to do this? Huh? Before I could react, Mike directly carried me on his shoulder and walked away with big strides. Then he threw me on the back seat of his electric bike. Sit tight. I was on tenterhooks all the way. And unexpectedly, I fell asleep. Yes. It was very magical. I have severe insomnia, and it's extremely difficult for me to fall asleep normally. But now, on the bumpy back seat of the electric bike, leaning against Mike's back, I fell asleep and had a hazy dream about the big chicken legs in the cafeteria. 20 minutes later, looking at the saliva mark on Mike's back, I was lost in thought. My fault. Mike rubbed his forehead and walked into the infirmary. What did he bring me to the infirmary for? Could it be that he knew I was coming and deliberately sent me here? I followed him in, completely confused. The school doctor was stunned when he saw us. Do you two know each other? Mike and I stared at each other. What? The school doctor pointed at Mike and said to me, he is the student with narcolepsy that I told you about last time. Then he pointed at me. She is the one with insomnia. You two are regular visitors to my school infirmary. Your conditions are miraculously complementary. I've wanted to introduce you to each other for a long time. How have your conditions been recently? Mike gave me a complicated look and said, I've been very energetic until now today. The school doctor was very surprised. Rare. Do you know the reason? Mike, the only difference from before is that she came to inspect my dormitory yesterday. Mike pointed at me, and I said blankly, to be honest, I had been insomnia for more than 10 days. After the dormitory inspection yesterday, I fell asleep. And I also fell asleep on your electric bike just now. The only difference from before is that I have been in contact with you. After saying that, we looked at each other and both fell silent. Obviously, we both realized a problem. Could it be that our conditions were so serious that they had already affected each other's magnetic fields? To test this hypothesis, Mike and I made an appointment not to meet for 3 days. So I had insomnia for 3 days. If I had never seen the light, I could still endure the darkness. After having those 2 good sleeps 3 days ago, Mike was like an addiction to me now. On Wednesday morning, I climbed out of bed with darker circles under my eyes than a panda. Sue asked casually, Cindy, why are you getting up so early? To find Mike to sleep. Sue was so shocked that her powder puff fell. What? I had already put on my shoes and rushed out of the dormitory door. Damn it. Mike. Come and sleep with me. Woo woo woo. I had never run this fast even for the 800-meter race. As a result, I ran to the downstairs of Mike's dormitory and sent him a message. But there was no reply for a long time. This guy couldn't be sleeping again. I crouched at the entrance of the boys' dormitory with dark circles under my eyes and a resentful look on my face, waiting for him. People passing by all took an extra look at me until a boy said, huh? In confusion, I looked up, and he seemed to understand. Are you here to find Mike? I nodded quickly. But Mike has gone to the infirmary. Huh? He was sleepy while riding his bike this morning and crashed into the flower bed in front of the library. It took 10 minutes for someone to find him because he was unconscious. No, he was asleep. I didn't understand. But I was greatly shocked. Is it so easy for people with narcolepsy to fall asleep? Woo woo. Share some of your illness with me. Okay? 5 Without further ado, I turned around and rushed to the school infirmary. Mike was sitting on the bed with his eyes half open, looking at the bright sunshine outside the window, with a numb and somewhat hopeless expression on his face. He looked like he was about to ascend to immortality in the next second. I grabbed his sleeve. He turned his head and met my sleepy eyes full of red blood. My voice was full of longing. Let me sleep. Mike. He silently took out his phone. Hello. 110. Aha, I really want to sleep. I grabbed my hair and started howling. Do you understand? Lying on the bed, my body is extremely tired, but my mind is ridiculously awake. Do you understand that despair? You don't understand. Woo woo. Mike had a complicated expression. Then do you understand the pain of falling asleep during an exam and failing the course for 2 consecutive years? We looked at each other in silence. Silence speaks louder than words at this moment. Mike and I reached an agreement. As long as we were free, we would be together. If the contact was really effective for both of our conditions, we would then find the reasons and solutions. A week passed, and we discovered several rules. The longer the contact time, the better the effect on the conditions. For example, if we were in contact for 1 hour today, I could sleep for 2 hours at night, and Mike could stay awake for 3 hours without feeling sleepy. The closer the contact, the better the effect would also be. After listening to our words, the school doctor exclaimed it was a medical miracle. Promise me that you will get along well. My doctoral thesis depends on you. I also thought that we would live happily ever after. Oh no. Cooperate like this forever. But on the 9th day, an accident occurred. 6 logically speaking, the contact time that day was enough for a good sleep. But at night, I had insomnia again. I tossed and turned in bed and couldn't fall asleep, staring at the bed curtain all night. The next day, I hurried to find Mike. He was in class. I stood at the back door and took a look inside. Mike was sitting by the window, under the sunshine. He was about to fall asleep. Sure enough, his narcolepsy had also started again. Finally, the bell rang for the end of class. Seeing that Mike finally woke up, he took a look at me and quickly understood what I meant. He stood up and was about to come out when suddenly a girl blocked his way. She chattered something that I couldn't hear. Mike tried to go left. She blocked him on the left. He tried to go right. She blocked him on the right. Oh, my impatient temper. I directly went in, pushed the girl aside, and grabbed Mike's wrist to pull him out. The girl immediately shouted, "What are you doing? Are you in such a hurry to die?" I sincerely nodded. You know, college students can die easily. She looked at me unpleasantly. You're sick. I nodded again. Yes. Yes. Mike is my medicine. I was very comfortable seeing her choked with anger. Suddenly, a chuckle came from beside me. I gave Mike a blank look and pulled him outside. Walking to the school park, I said, "You've also noticed it, right? Now normal contact has no effect." He was sleepy-eyed. Yes. Maybe I've been drained by you. If you don't know how to talk, you can keep quiet. I looked at him several times and laughed dryly. Could it be because we're not in close enough contact? Suddenly, Mike raised his eyes. The sunlight shone through the gaps in the phoenix tree leaves, casting mottled shadows on his face. He took a step closer to me and asked leisurely, "How do you want to be close?" I was a bit stunned by his stare. I tiptoed and touched my forehead against his. Mike should have been stunned by my bump. After a while, he touched his forehead and laughed. "Are you stupid? Huh? Intimate contact. Isn't this intimate enough?" Before I could refute, he grabbed my wrist. The next second, I bumped into a warm embrace. Mike's voice rang in my ear. "This is called intimacy." 7. I listened to his heartbeat and said, "Oh. But this is not the time for talking." But a magnetic field needs to be felt with the heart. I really couldn't hold it in, but there are so many people. Mike was stunned and suddenly turned his head. Just on the other side of the bushes behind us, a campus reporter was taking pictures of a row of people. At this moment, they were all looking at us without blinking. The reporter slowly moved the camera and took a picture of us. Even when he walked away, we could still hear his excited voice. "Tomorrow's campus gossip headline will surely be mine." Ha 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 ha. Me. Mike. Sure enough, the next day, a piece of gossip about us was posted on the confession wall. The general content was, because Mike couldn't get hard, his relationship with his girlfriend broke down. Suspected of being drained, he tried hard to salvage the relationship and finally the two hugged affectionately. I really want to meet this writer, then jump on his head and rip it open to see what junk is inside. I think this matter must be clarified. Mike's reputation was almost ruined. Moreover, the source was my clerical error, so it should be up to me to solve it. So I contacted the person who wrote this gossip to delete it and made an appointment. I was going to call Mike to explain clearly together and let him write a new long clarification article to clear Mike's name. The plan was very good and perfect. But on the day of the appointment, Mike was late. He arrived half an hour later. As soon as he entered the milk tea shop, he walked towards me with big strides, and then stared at me and hurriedly said a sentence. "Can you sleep with me a night?" Me. The campus reporter silently raised the camera. Under my intimidating gaze, he put it down again. Then he picked up the pen, rambling lie. Just like this. This rumor can't be cleared up. Mike said the reason he was in such a hurry was that there was a basketball game between University A and University D tomorrow. This was the most important game for the school team this year. As the captain of the school team last year, he didn't originally need to play. But this afternoon, the main player of the school team accidentally broke his leg. And there was really no one else. So they came to him. But since this year, his narcolepsy had occurred frequently. And he really didn't dare to play without any guarantee. To ensure a long enough awake time. Today he must be close to me for a longer time. This statement sounded a bit strange. But it meant literally that we needed to be close in for a long time. So we could only sleep together at night. I crossed my arms. "You're begging me. What benefits can you give me?" Mike said faintly. "A readily available sleeping pill. What are you hesitating about?" I excitedly pulled him and ran outside the school. "Let's get a room." Ouch. Mike. But we went out late, and it was the weekend. All the better hotels near the school were full. We only found a smaller hotel. It was okay to make do for one night. We both had taken a bath before coming out. So there was no embarrassing bathing part. We could just go to sleep directly. But I couldn't fall asleep. You ask me why? Mike. The school hunk. 1.85 meters tall. With 8-pack ABS. Delicate features. And smelling good. With such a big living person lying beside me. Even a nun couldn't fall asleep. Just then, Mike also had no sleepiness. He turned his head and took a look at me. "Can't fall asleep?" I nodded. A smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. "Then let's play something interesting." Me? Half an hour later. Our conversation became like this. "You're so amazing. How can you hold on for so long?" "No. Be careful when you put it in. Slowly pull it out. Don't use so much force. I'm stuffed." Knock. 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 Suddenly there was a knock on the door. Mike and I looked at each other. Mike went to open the door. There was a blushing big brother standing at the door. The big brother said with difficulty, "Brother, the sound insulation in this hotel is not good. You go to sleep early." Alas. Even I, a grown man, blushed and my heart beat faster when I heard you. He took a peek inside with his peripheral vision and happened to meet my eyes. The big brother was stunned. My face was covered with slips of paper. I was holding a kebab in one hand. And there was a building block lottery in front of me. My hand was carefully pulling out one of the sticks. I don't know whether we were more embarrassed or the big brother was at this moment. 9 after such a commotion. I finally felt sleepy. I directly fell into a deep sleep. I don't know how long it had passed. I was still having a long and messy dream. Dreaming of the hairless cat adopted in the courtyard. It often lay on its back, and let people touch its belly. I was happily dreaming and turned over. My palm just landed on a smooth skin. In my dream, I was rubbing the cat's belly, and my hand unconsciously started to move around. Suddenly, I touched a bump. The feel was a bit different. Was the kitten pregnant? Why was it so hard here? So I couldn't help but scratch it. There was a muffled groan beside me. Mike grabbed my hand all at once, turned over and restrained me from above. His ear tips were so red as if they were about to drip blood. He gritted his teeth and said shyly and angrily, "Have you touched enough?" I immediately woke up and quickly glanced at his chest. Oh no. The color was different. Damn it. Cindy. Are you still human? Why are you thinking about this at this time? I took another look at Mike and preemptively said, Why did you take off your clothes? What do you want to do? Mike looked at his chest following my line of sight. As if being electrocuted. He suddenly turned over and put on his short-sleeve shirt. Stuttering a bit, it was too hot at midnight. I subconsciously took off my clothes. Sorry. Off. I'm so magnanimous. I forgive you. After saying that, without waiting for Mike to react, I quickly got up and ran away. Their game started at 11 o'clock. I went back to the dormitory and found that my roommates were all dressed up beautifully and ready to go to the basketball game. Sue said, I heard that there are a lot of handsome guys in the D University team coming today. Cindy, do you want to go with us to have a look? I wasn't interested at first. I casually glanced at the photo of the D University basketball players that Sue showed me. I was immediately stunned. Isn't the one standing in the center position Ryan? My neighbor brother who lies next door to my house? He was 2 years older than me. Although we didn't have much contact. He was the first boy who made my heart flutter when I was a girl. I must go to this basketball game. I quickly put on makeup and found some clothes. When I rushed to the basketball stadium, the game had just started. I looked around the court and saw Ryan at a glance. He wasn't extremely handsome, but still relatively clean-cut. He suddenly looked over. I happily waved. Ryan was stunned for a moment and then winked at me. The big smile on my face slowly disappeared. A bit cheesy. Not sure. Let me look again. Suddenly, there was a scream from the sidelines. I followed the sound and saw Mike neatly throw a three-pointer in his white jersey. The moment he turned around, his eyes met mine for a brief moment. My heart skipped a beat inexplicably. The basketball game ended. Everyone walked out of the stadium one after another. I was looking for Mike's figure when Ryan walked straight towards me. He sat down beside me with a sweaty smell. Cindy. It's been a long time. You've become so beautiful. After saying that, he pretended to be cool and shook his hair. Maybe he thought he was very handsome. But I wiped the sweat droplets that splashed on my arm. I really didn't know what to say. I could only laugh dryly. It hasn't been that long. We saw each other during the Chinese New Year last year. Ryan suddenly started to look me up and down and smiled a bit lewdly. Did you dress up specially today? I endured. Ryan, knowing that I was coming. Did you dress up for me? I endured again. Ryan, you like pink so much. Is your underwear also pink? Damn it. I really couldn't bear it anymore. I smiled and waved to him. I'll tell you quietly. Ryan happily leaned closer. I swung my arm round and slapped him. The palm print is also pink. Is it beautiful? How can there be such a violent girl like you? Do you know what civilization is? Ryan cursed and covered his face and shouted. I raised my bat and threw it at him. I'll dip my belt in iodine tincture and disinfect it while hitting you. So civilized. Ryan remembered to fight back after I beat him several times. He cursed in a low voice and directly raised his hand. But before his fist could fall, it was intercepted halfway. I turned around in surprise and saw Mike standing beside me with a gloomy face. He twisted Ryan's arm and forced him to step back. Then he kicked him to the ground and said coldly, "Get lost." Ryan was probably not convinced and still wanted to resist. But when he saw that all his teammates had left, he was too cowardly to say anything and ran away in a hurry while still cursing. Listening to his words, I had very complicated feelings. 17 Mike sat with me on the stands. I was extremely depressed. In my impression, he wasn't this kind of person. I still remember that he liked to wear white t-shirts and had a neat crew cut. He was my favorite type. When I was in junior high school, every day when I met him on my way to school, he would smile at me. How can a person change so much? Thinking about my first love feeling in junior high school, I just felt really bad. I wailed. I might as well not have come. My youth. Mike sat beside me and was silent for a while. He patted my shoulder with a complicated look. It's not your fault for having bad taste. If you had known me at that time, you would have known the difference after comparison. Me. Thanks. You're really good at comforting. A few days later, we made an appointment to go to the infirmary for an examination. As soon as I saw Mike when I walked out of the dormitory, I was stunned. He had cut a crew cut. His originally soft facial contour had a bit more of a ruffian air. There was no girl passing by who didn't take an extra look at him. Damn it. He became even more handsome. Seeing me, he showed off with his eyebrows raised. See? This is the correct way to have a crew cut. I couldn't help but laugh out loud. When we arrived at the infirmary, the school doctor asked us to record our sleep and mental conditions during this period in the infirmary. So Mike and I each occupied one side of the table. But recently the weather was still a bit stuffy. I fell asleep lying on the table halfway through writing. When I woke up, it was already dark. Mike stood by the window with a complicated expression. There is a bad news and an even worse news. Which one do you want to hear first? My heart skipped a beat. I always had a bad premonition. The bad news. Mike, my cell phone is out of battery. What kind of bad news is this? I frowned. Then what is the even worse news? Mike, go out and have a look. I stood up in confusion and walked towards the door of the infirmary. I twisted the doorknob but couldn't open it. Why can't it be opened? Mike, this is the even worse news. While I was sleeping, the door outside the infirmary was locked, and Mike was wearing headphones and playing with his phone while waiting for the school doctor. He didn't hear it either. So at 9 o'clock in the evening, we, a man and a woman, were locked in the small infirmary. I looked at my cell phone that was charging outside and laughed dryly. It's okay. Someone will pass by later, and we can call for help. Besides, there is still a light here. What are we afraid of? Before I finished speaking, the light went out. I shivered and laughed again. It doesn't matter without the light. We all believe in science. Just as I finished speaking, my eyes swept over the calendar on the table and I was petrified. The first day of the 10th lunar month. The Cold Clothes Festival. One of the 4 major ghost festivals. 12. It would be a lie to say that I wasn't scared. But I was still trying to hold on. Mike sat down by the window and patted the space beside him. Sit. I quickly ran over and sat beside him. There was a wind blowing past my ear. And out of fear, I moved closer to Mike. There was a faint smile on Mike's lips. Are you scared? I nodded vigorously. When I was a kid, I was terribly frightened by horror movies. It was all my brother's fault. He always told me ghost stories to scare me. Rather envious. What? Mike said. I also really want to have a younger brother. I looked at his lower body. Don't you have one? Mike? He expressionlessly pushed away my hand that was pulling his sleeve. I shamelessly grabbed it again. Look. The atmosphere is much better now. Right? I'm not scared at all. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw a white figure flash by outside the window. I screamed and threw myself into Mike's arms. A dirty thing. There's a dirty thing. I didn't dare to look outside and held onto Mike's waist tightly without letting go. I just felt that Mike's breathing seemed to become a bit heavier. He reached out and put his arm around my shoulder. His voice a bit hoarse. Don't be afraid. Only then did I calm down and realize that this posture was too much. I reluctantly got out of Mike's arms and, mustering my courage, wanted to take another look outside. Suddenly, Mike reached out and covered my eyes. If you're scared, don't look. There's nothing outside. I nodded blankly. Oh. After that, in order to make me stop being afraid, Mike told me several cold jokes. In return, I said, do you listen to songs? Mike was stunned. Isn't your phone outside? I said, I'll sing for you. Mike smiled. And then I cleared my throat and took out my best-kept song. 13. We were rescued 2 hours later. Fortunately, we managed to enter the dormitory before the curfew. I slept until dawn. The next day, Sue, with a terrified look on her face, held her phone and said, "Cindy, don't go to the school infirmary these days at all." I was stunned. "What's wrong?" Sue said mysteriously, "Yesterday was the Cold Clothes Festival, right? I heard that there was a ghost there." I knew it. The white figure I saw last night wasn't an illusion. The more I thought about it, the more scared I became. I nervously hugged my small quilt. "Tell me more." Sue continued, "Yesterday, the skateboarding club organized a Dare to be Bold challenge. When a girl skated to the school infirmary area, she heard a scream. Very miserable. Not long after that, they heard a song. According to their description, the song didn't sound like it was sung by a human. It was extremely tragic, with a strange pitch, like a folk curse. Something seemed wrong. Sue played the recording that was spreading on the school forum for me. I fell silent as I listened to my own voice. Sue shook her head. "Tut. Anyway, don't go to the infirmary during this period. This female ghost seems to have a lot of resentment." I also had a lot of resentment now. Was I really that bad at singing? Mike was still laughing last night. Oh, probably mocking. Just then, I received a message from Mike, asking me to have lunch together at noon. He must have known about the ghost incident too, thinking it was too embarrassing. I said I couldn't go because I had a cold and my throat was itchy. Who would have thought? When I was eating chicken feet in the cafeteria, I ran into him again. Mike examined me. "A cold? A itchy throat?" I looked at the chicken feet clamped by my chopsticks and twitched the corner of my mouth. "Let it go in and scratch." Mike. 14 during the meal. Mike heard that I was going out for an internship for half a month next week and promised to give me a gift. I only received a box from him just before leaving. "What is this?" Mike raised his eyebrows. "You'll need it." Before I could open it, I was rushed onto the bus by my tutor. Seeing the beautifully packaged gift box in my hand, my classmates' gossipy souls were burning brightly. They urged me to open it and have a look. For a moment, driven by vanity, I embarrassedly hesitated for a while. Oh, there are so many people. How embarrassing. Hurry up. Hurry up. It's for Mike. The packaging is so beautiful. It must be a bag. I guess it's shoes. With an excited heart and trembling hands, under the expectant gazes of everyone, I opened the box and took out a used boy's pajama. There was complete silence around. A classmate blushed and turned his eyes to the window. "The scenery outside is so, oh no, so beautiful." I directly stuffed the pajamas into my bag and shrank in my seat to call Mike. "What do you mean by giving me your used pajamas?" It seemed that he was walking on the other side, and the background was a bit noisy. "Aren't you not coming back for half a month? If you can't see me, you can't be insomniac for half a month, right? I'll give you my pajamas. Put it beside you when you sleep at night. It might be useful." I took a deep breath. "Your starting point is good. But don't start yet." After saying that, I suddenly thought of something and asked him, "Then what about you? When I'm not here, don't ride your bike. Okay? Okay. When you sleep in class, remember to be more discreet. If you get caught, you'll have to stand and sleep. Okay. Pay attention when you walk, and don't bump into a tree." There was a low laugh from the other side. "Cindy, are you worried about me?" I was stunned, and my heart fluttered for a moment. Before I could think of something to prevaricate, there was a bang on the other side. I asked, "What happened to you?" "Mike?" "Nothing. I'll hang up first." After hanging up the phone, I was a bit worried that something had happened to Mike. Just as I was about to ask his roommate, I saw a freshly released video on the confession wall. Mike was walking on the road, talking on the phone and giggling stupidly. And then he bumped his head into a tree. A bit silly. And also a bit cute. I couldn't help but laugh out loud. 15 Mike's pajamas seemed to be really useful in the internship dormitory. Although I didn't sleep very well, holding his pajamas, I could doze off for a while at least. One day, when I really couldn't fall asleep, I sent a message to Mike. Are you asleep? Mike, no. I showed off. Is it that without me, you found that you can't live without me? The typing indication on the other side showed for a while, and then a voice message was sent over. With a chuckle and a hint of doting, yes. So come back quickly and save me. It was like coaxing a child. But I had no proof. Mike asked again, have you had dinner? Just ate Nezha's body. Mike, I said, oatmeal. Mike. He sent a long voice message. I didn't need to listen to know that he was saying I was crazy. I typed with a smile, I like the way you can't stand me but can't get rid of me. As a result, I didn't hold my phone firmly. Halfway through typing, it hit my nose directly. It made my eyes water. When I picked up my phone again, I found that I had sent the first half. I like you. Damn it. I exclaimed and quickly clicked, recall. So fast. Mike probably didn't see it. Right? I felt a bit guilty. But why was I also a bit expectant? Oh no. It seems that I'm addicted to Mike. No, it must be that we've been in contact for too long and I've become dependent. After being apart for half a month, I'll return to normal. I thought so and firmly believed it. Until the end of the internship half a month later. My tutor asked me with a solemn face, what is Mike to you? I was shocked. How do you know? No, Mike has nothing to do with me. My tutor looked at me faintly. Are you sure? Then he pointed at the small animals in the clinic and roared, you named that dog Momo. That cat Song Song. The parrot Song Xiao Mo. The hamster Song Damo. And even more ridiculously, that pig. You named it Mo Bao. Now if you don't call it baby a few times before meals, it won't eat. My tutor looked up at the sky in distress. Cindy. How are you going to repay them? I turned my head and made eye contact with the pig's innocent eyes. I actually moved my eyes away in shame. When I was pulling my luggage back to school, I ran into the school doctor. She looked me up and down and smiled. You look quite energetic. Are you okay too? I was stunned. Too? The school doctor's sister nodded. Yes. Mike also received treatment in the hospital before, during the time you were away. His daily routine has become normal. How about you? Has your insomnia improved? I had mixed feelings and didn't speak for a while. After chatting casually with the school doctor and parting, I stood at the school intersection, my mind in a mess. So Mike had been receiving treatment all along. He was looking for a way to live a normal life without me. But I was becoming more and more dependent on him. This was not good. 16 After returning to the dormitory, Sue updated me on the gossips that had happened in the school these days. I only remembered one of them. Mike had been looking for a senior sister in the medical department, the campus belle, for 3 consecutive days. I saw the photo taken by passers-by. A handsome man and a beautiful woman were sitting together having dinner, looking very well matched. Oh no. So was this the reason why he was so eager to cure himself and get rid of me? Then I must do a desensitization training for myself. Challenge. Not depending on Mike for a week. Day 1 of the challenge. Failed. On the basketball court. As soon as I saw him, I turned around and ran. Mike grabbed my hat and dragged me into the utility room like a chicken. He propped his hands on either side of my head and stared at me meaningfully. What are you running away from? I lied blatantly. I'm not running away. Mike didn't say anything. My voice also lowered. Don't need me anymore? Mike. What? Someone outside called him. Mike grabbed my wrist and led me onto the basketball court. Then pointed to a position. Wait for me there. I nodded. Today was the final of the 5-school league. Mike led the school team to dominate the whole game and won with a crushing victory. I sat in the crowd and clapped. Suddenly, the girl beside me pulled me with a pained look on her face. Classmate. Do me a favor. I was stunned. Huh? The girl said. I seem to have my period. My stomach hurts so much. I need to go to the bathroom. But I still have to go up and present the medals to the champion team later. Can you go instead of me? This isn't, before I could say, appropriate. The girl pushed me into the line of ceremony girls and said thank you and ran away. I was a bit flustered in the crowd. When I followed them onto the stage, my mind was still blank. Mike, as the captain, stood on the podium. When he saw me, a flash of surprise showed in his eyes. And then he was full of tenderness. I picked up the gold medal and gestured to put it around his neck. Because I was too short. I couldn't reach even when I tiptoed. A bit embarrassed. I gritted my teeth. Lower your head. Mike, okay. Seeing him bend down, I tiptoed with the gold medal in my hand. The moment the string was hung around his neck, Mike gently kissed me on the cheek. I was stunned, looking up and meeting Mike's evasive eyes. My mind went blank for a moment. And then I fled in a hurry. 17 at night. I lay in bed, as energetic as if I had taken stimulants. At 11 o'clock, I made a call to Mike. I need to add something to what I said during the day. Mike's voice sounded a bit nervous. What? I said seriously. You don't need me. And I don't need you either. There was no response from the other side for a long time. After a while, Mike said through gritted teeth, think it through before you speak. What I mean is, I interrupted him. It seems that our magnetic field has lost its effect. I haven't been able to fall asleep until now. Mike, why? I cleared my throat, because as soon as I close my eyes, all I can see is you. Mike, you should be responsible. I'm insomniac now because of you. There was silence on the other side for several minutes. Then Mike spoke. His voice a bit hoarse, as if he was restraining something. Go downstairs. Your medicine is here. 18 in the middle of the night. I was sitting by the lake in front of the dormitory with Mike, wearing slippers, freezing to death. Mike sighed in exasperation, turned me to a different direction, and then let me put my feet in his arms. I huddled in my coat, not knowing what to say. Mike spoke first. I saw the message you sent me a few days ago. What message? The one you retracted. My face flushed immediately. Just as I was about to explain, Mike said through gritted teeth, when I saw the message, I jumped up and announced to my roommate that I was no longer single. But then you retracted it. What? Do you still need to hesitate? I swallowed the words of explanation again. Mike persisted. Why did you avoid me after coming back to school? My voice was listless. Your narcolepsy is almost cured. You don't need me that much anymore. Besides, they all said that you have been very close to the campus bell from the neighboring department these 2 days. So I couldn't help but think more. You're thinking nonsense. We were having a normal conversation. Why did he scold me? Mike seemed more aggrieved than me. That senior sister has a lot of research on insomnia. I just asked her about insomnia. Huh? So, it was for me. Was it really necessary? Obviously. We could solve the problem by being together every day. Why did Mike look for a way to cure both of us? Mike said, because I hoped that even without me, you can have a good sleep every day. I was distracted for a moment looking into Mike's eyes. But he touched his crew cut and said with his eyebrows raised, I have a crew cut now and white t-shirts are ready in my wardrobe. Can I be your type now? I directly kissed him. You already are. 19. Several years later, during the new student enrollment season, one day, I accidentally browsed the A University forum and saw that long-lasting picture again. Mike on bed for in dormitory 250 was lying on the bed. Changed several postures, but couldn't get hard. I took a look at Mike, who was sleeping soundly beside me, and thought he was really wronged. The rumor started because of me. So let me end it. So I left a comment. This is a rumor busting. Mike is not only capable, but very capable. My phone rang several times in a row. Someone must have replied. I put down my phone without looking at any of the replies. I turned over and hugged Mike Sate Pack ABS. My back hurts. Time to sleep.